Hello and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today I'm going to show you the current best Grandmaster Ice PvP gear build, at least in my opinion. I'll also go over my deck build for those interested, so skip forward if you want to see that. Now this setup only applies if you are above level 50 and below level 59, so sorry to all the max players looking to scale down, but I'm sure some other YouTubers have a guide for max gear builds already. But make sure to also check the updates in the dev diary before spending crowns on the pack gear in this video, because the meta is always changing. It's changing a ton nowadays. That it's possible that this setup won't be good anymore a month or even a couple weeks from now. But all right, let's take a look at the gear. Even with the excessive amount of changes to PvP over the past few months, this hat has remained consistently meta because the stats are good and the extra ice bubble it gives really helps you in those tense bubble wars. Next up is the Icy Nightmare coat, which you can get from the Nightmare Horde pack. I believe you can also get it by crafting it in the Nightmare Gauntlet after acquiring the necessary reagents, but I just got it from the pack, so I'm not sure how hard it is to actually craft. Next is Lydia's Frozen Foot Wraps, which you can get from the Professor's Horde pack. The pip chance on these boots is really their key attribute and is a must if you don't want to pip fail every other turn. So next up is the Long Blade of the Homunculus. Just like the hat, you can get it from Malastare by crafting or from the Dragonspire World pack. Next up is the Athame. You can do the Garnet Bear Claw, which can be crafted in the Grizzleheim Forge. You can get the recipe from Ingolf the Grower, and wow, that's quite an interesting name. But yeah, he is in Vesterland, and it's pretty easy to craft. Although I prefer this Athame, you could also run the Claw of the Spirit Wolf, which you can get from Agnita Broadblade and Nordri, which are the bosses that you can find in the final dungeon of Wintertusk. There's a slight difference in health between them, but if you follow my recommendation, you'll meet the health cap anyway, so that doesn't really matter. I like the Garnet better because it offers a little bit more damage, but if you wanted to play more defensively, you could sacrifice the damage for more outgoing healing. Claw of the Spirit Wolf also offers another Circle Jewel, but we're hitting the Pierce cap with the Garnet anyways, so it's not really necessary. Next is the Mastery Amulet, which you can buy for cheap from the vendor Jordo in the arena. Pick any Mastery Amulet of your choosing for whatever fits your playstyle best. Unfortunately, this setup doesn't really give any accuracy for dual school play, so it's kind of like a pure ice build. But you could run Death Mastery for spells like Threefold Fever, or Life Mastery for using Fairy, Pigsy, and the Life Rochambeau spells. Myth is also really good with ice right now, primarily for if you're running Spellamented Minotaur, which converts enemy shields into traps and has good natural synergy with Spellamented Colossus for the trap stacking strategy. So while the Mastery Amulet works well, I actually heard the Wastelander's Chill Totem might be better, which is a new amulet that comes from the Wallaroo Wastelanders pack. The reason that it's better is because it has an extra triangle socket. So since I'm not really doing dual school with this build, that's probably the optimal amulet to have so that you can socket an extra 5% pip chance jewel. I don't have the amulet, or I would show it, and the stats aren't updated on the wiki yet because it's so new. But that is what I'd recommend running if you really want to be fully optimized. For rings, I'd go for the Arctic Skyfarer's band, which you can get from the Skyfarer's Horde pack. I think there's also a gauntlet that you can farm as well to craft the equivalent of this ring, although the gauntlet ring is named something slightly different, but the stats are the same. For pets, I would run the Blimp Buddy for the obvious 2 bubbles it gives, and I'd run Armor Breaker, Pain Giver, Spellproof, Ice Sniper, Ice Dealer, and Socket Brace Defy Jewel. For mounts, I recommend the Rock mount because pip fails at critical times is the worst thing ever. You can get this mount from farming the Sinbad Gauntlet or buying the Sinbad Horde pack. Man, gotta love all this pack gear. Lastly, the best deck is the Sub-Zero deck, which you can craft pretty easily by buying this recipe from Quentin Chamberlain in the Floating Land. And very quickly for the jewels, I guess I'll go over them. The tier and triangle jewels for health and pip chance can be bought from Jordo in the arena with arena tickets for very cheap. The stun resist jewels, they're farmable from various mobs all over the place. You'll just have to look at the wiki for that. And the pierce jewels are technically farmable as well, but I think it's probably just better to just try and craft them. It does require a lot of bronze, which can be hard to come by. So try and snipe the bazaar for the occasional bronze that you'll see in there. That's how I did it. The same recipe you use for the pierce jewels also has a chance of crafting the accuracy jewel. But yeah, technically all these jewels can be farmed if you really don't want to craft them. So this is what the raw stats will look like. If you're curious, you can go ahead and pause to look. But the scaled down stats are what matters in PvP. So give me a second for that, and I'll show you what that'll look like. So we hit all of the really important stat caps with this build, which is 3,723 health, 82% damage, 37% resist, 25% ice accuracy, which means the only ice spell you can fizzle is the single stun, but even then it's only a 5% chance to fizzle. 12% armor piercing, 8% outgoing, 88% pip chance, and 46 arch mastery rating. You'll actually even have a 6% chance to stun resist, which is kind of cool. But yeah, like I said before, if you run that Wallaroo amulet, your pip chance will jump to 93%, which is pretty close to the stat cap of 96%. Something I noticed about this build is you could definitely easily tweak it slightly to run a death dual school strat, since this build already gives 37% death damage. You'd obviously have to sacrifice some stats though, because you're going to want to run death accuracy if you're really investing in the dual school strategy. But yeah, now to move on to the deck build. Now, I've tweaked this deck slightly because I don't want people pulling up my video and card counting me in ranked PvP, but this is pretty close to what I run in my deck. Also, I won't be showing my treasure card deck for the same reason. But yeah, you obviously want to have as many of these spells spellment upgraded to max, preferably, but at least to tier 2 for certain spells like Angry Snow Pig so that you can get the actual effect from them. Highly recommend running Colossus right now, since the traps actually recently got buffed from 35% to 50%, which is pretty big. So if you have 3 shields on you and you use Colossus, it will sacrifice those, well, it will gambit those 3 shields and convert them into 3 50% traps, which is, it's a lot of damage. I mean, even if they shield over that with like a tower, you're still going to do a ton of damage. You might as well just hit through it. I'm experimenting with Celestial Intervention right now because we don't really get burst healing anymore besides, Fairy. But honestly, it's so situational that I think it's pretty much hot garbage. And not to mention, it's completely bugged. The protection on the shield is ignored by shield removal spells like Elephant and even your own Frost Beetle, as evidenced in this clip from a ranked match I did earlier today, which I lost. But I recorded it and reported the bug to King's Isle via email earlier, so I expect it'll get fixed in about 3 years. But as you can see, it's a pretty offensive deck for Ice, which is the most fun way to play Ice, in my opinion. No one wants to sit there and spam heals or Celestial Intervention for an hour. But yeah, let me know what you think of this build in the comments, and let me know if you have any ideas for other build variants. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.